everyone, and welcome to the Evolve with Emily show YouTube channel. The best way to support the show on this YouTube channel is to subscribe to the channel, like the video, leave a comment, and or share it with a friend. I hope that you guys enjoy this episode, and whichever way you choose to support the show, I just wanted to say from the bottom of my heart, thank you guys so much. I hope that today's message and episode brings some bit of positive change to your life. Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Evolve with Emily show. I am your host, Emily Hayden, and today we are joined by a friend of mine, Jazmin Pineda. She is the owner of the No Evil label. She's with Alpha Elite, Ghost Lifestyle, and she's a competitor. So, Jasmine, welcome to the show.
Hi, I'm so happy to be here.
Thank you so much for making time.
Of course, of course.
Yeah, so I'm really excited to dive more into your competing journey, your story, even some stuff about relationships.
Okay.
I know that you speak a lot of about that on your social profile, and even just in person, some of the conversations that we've had have been really eye-opening and perspective changing. So I'd love to get into some of that stuff.
Yes.
Can you give the listeners a little idea of who you are, like where you came from, a little bit of your family life, your upbringing,
Okay.
and then what led you into competing?
Okay. So I was born in Chicago, but I was raised in Georgia in a really small town. Growing up, it was like, I was probably like one out of like 3 Hispanics in my school. It was like very, very not ethnic, nothing like that. But I feel like, thankfully, I didn't like have any issues, like racial issues growing up. I had a pretty like good lifestyle growing up in the South. But yeah, I was born in Georgia. My parents are both Mexican. I have 2 younger sisters, so I'm the oldest. We grew up in a business household, so my parents opened up a restaurant when I was like in 3rd grade. And I kind of worked myself up from hostess to cashier to manager kind of. But yeah, so I grew up in Georgia there, and the restaurant life was like all I ever knew. I worked at the restaurant all the time. I competed in sports in high school because of Chris. So I met Chris in high school, and
Who's your now husband?
Who's now my husband now. We've been together for 11 years. But my family, they weren't really into sports, I guess, because they didn't really, they didn't have like that American lifestyle. So they weren't like pushing me into sports or anything like that. So I didn't grow up active at all. And then I met Chris, and he was top cross-country athlete in his school.
Wow, I didn't know that.
Yeah. So he was like the top in his school. I think he still has a record in his high school.
That's really cool.
Yeah, so it was really cool. And so he pushed me kind of to start running. Girl, when I tell you, when you go from not doing anything to something like that, and running is really hard. It's not a team sport. It's like an individual thing,
Yeah.
So you have to like be good at pushing yourself. But I think it was like the best thing I could have ever done in my life, just because I'm sure you've talked about it before, like sports just show you, like teach you to have so much character and discipline. And so I did cross country from my freshman year to my senior year. And I got better and better over the years. I wasn't like the top, but I feel like I progressively always tried to get better over the years. And then we both ran in college. He went to college first.
I did not know this. You ran in college?
Yes, I ran in college.
Okay.
So I got a scholarship. I did a community college
Okay.
in Dalton, Georgia. And I ran for a year, which was like absolutely an incredible experience. We would run like 13 miles a day, like things that you would be like, there's no way I could do that. Like,
yeah.
You can, you know what I mean? You obviously train for it.
Yeah.
But so I did that in college, and then I guess I got tired of running. I don't even remember why I just quit running. I just did. And that kind of led me into the gym, because I quit running like my freshman year in college, and I decided I wanted to get my breast done.
Okay.
And I was like, okay, you know what? Chris and I had a little mini breakup. So I was like, this is going to be a new me. I'm going to do what I want.
Yeah.
And so I got my breast done in like November, December. And going from like running 13 miles a day, burning all these calories, eating whatever you want, never really having to worry about, what I was
Nutrition,
eating.
Yeah.
And then not doing anything, because when you get, your breast done, you can't do anything for like 8 to 10 weeks. And I was depressed because I was going through a breakup, and 2, couldn't do anything. And I was still like, I think I was like not even binge eating, just like depression eating.
Yeah, like emotional eating.
Yeah. And so I was eating so much, and I gained like 30 pounds,
Wow.
30 to 40 pounds in like those 8 weeks.
Wow. Wow.
And I didn't realize it until like at the end, and I like looked at myself in a picture and I was like, oh my God, this is me. Like, what happened?
Wow.
You know? And so time passed, Chris and I got back together, and then we started kind of he was already into the gym. And so I started kind of going in, working out with him and losing the weight. And it's funny because at first it was just kind of like whatever. And then there's this really big Latin competition called Nuestra Belleza Latina. Mm-hmm. And so you have to be, it's like on like the TV and everything.
Is it like a bikini competition?
Well, yes. But it's like a pageant. It's
okay.
It's a really, really big, like the biggest pageant you can do. Like, cool. I know there's Universe, but this is like for the Latin community, the biggest one you can do. And so I was like, I'm going to audition for it. So I lost all the weight. And I actually came here to Houston to audition for it.
No way.
Yeah. But, I didn't realize, going into it, I thought it was like just like a pageant kind of thing, but there's a lot more acting that goes into it than, like you kind of have to be a good actress to be on TV and stuff.
Right. Okay.
And so they like look at you, and then they also interview you, and they want a story that can like feed the audience. Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. And I didn't really have a really like sad upbringing or like a story that I could really sell myself with. You know what I mean?
Right,
like
totally.
All these girls are like, yeah, I was like super poor, and like they just had all these different obstacles that they faced. And I was like 19, 20 at the time. I'm like, okay, I really haven't really faced any crazy obstacles. So I didn't make the second cut, but it was still like a really good experience because I lost the weight and I went to do the pageant. And then I just kept up with my fitness from there on. Obviously, it's like hasn't been a straight paved road. Like it's been like, I'd gain some weight, lose some weight. And then I also started like my social media through fitness because it was like a different outlet for me instead of modeling. Mm-hmm. Growing up in Georgia back in the time before like Instagram really started, if you wanted to be a model, like you had to go to all these castings, but if you weren't 5'6", 5'7", you weren't even looked at,
Yeah.
And you had to be like a certain weight, and I just didn't fit that criteria. So then I started like my social media as like, like a fitness model, because I was like, okay, that's a great outlet for me to get into. So then that's when I started that. And then competing didn't come until like, I think 2-3 years later. Chris wanted to compete, and he's like, you should compete. Like, I think it'd be cool for you. And I did it. It was like, obviously like super, it's different from going from like just regular training to like competing. And then I feel like, I'm not going to mention the coach that I had. I just feel like he wasn't really knowledgeable, and like, we just didn't have the same like vision, I guess.
Yeah.
And
which
then,
makes a big difference.
Oh yeah. Now that I competed again last year, it makes a huge difference if you're not on the same path as your coach. And so, I did my first show in Nashville, Tennessee. I won the overall there. That was just like,
that was your first show?
It was my first show.
The overall.
Yeah.
That's badass.
Yeah. So it was like the qualifier. And then I waited a whole year to do nationals. And that year I developed IBS through my prep because I was super stressful. And then I don't know why I just developed it. I never had issues like that before. And so I feel like instead of my body working with me, it was working against me. My coach, I would explain to him what I was like going through. It was the same coach. He didn't really like reciprocate anything. He was just like, okay, just keep pushing.
Right.
And then we went to nationals in New Jersey. And I just like had the feeling where I'm like, I'm not ready. Like I'm one of those people, I'm really hard on myself, but I'm also a realistic person. Like I know when like a girl should step on stage and when you shouldn't step on stage. Like I know like people have different reasons to step on stage. Sometimes it's just like a personal goal. But if you're trying to be competitive, like you have to have a certain look.
For sure.
And I didn't have it. And I've always wanted to be the best. Like I'm not super duper competitive, but I also don't like to embarrass myself. Like I don't have to be number one, but I want to be in the top,
Totally.
And so I like expressed that to my coach. I was like, I'm not ready. Like I just don't feel like I'm super lean. And he's like, no, you're good. Like you're good. So then I went to Jersey, and then I was like, what the heck am I doing here?
Like when you got backstage?
Yeah. Like, and then all my teammates, cause we all stayed in the same house. I was like, I should not be here. Like,
damn.
I like didn't feel like I belonged in that. I already felt like my confidence went down before I stepped on stage. And I think that's why, like, I think when you and I talked in London, I had such a bad, like,
experience with it?
Yes, that I hated competing. Like I had such, like, I was like, I don't know, I just had such a bad experience, and I had all these negative like vibes with it that I was just like, no, screw competing, screw this. But it wasn't competing. It was just how I felt because of what I went through.
Yeah,
you know,
it came from your real personal experience. And that's the thing is like everybody has their own experience with certain things and issues or life things. But your experience can be different too.
Yeah.
It's kind of being like, oh, I hate relationships because relationships are this way.
Yeah.
And it's like, no, you were just with a horrible person.
Yeah.
You know, your experience doesn't have to be that way every time.
Right. And so, you know, when I talked to you in London, I was like, oh no, like competing is bull crap, this and that. Like I just had a really bad negative mindset.
Which like for me, I fully understood. I empathized with you because if you have a bad prep, that's exactly what you're going to feel and think about it. So I was like, I get it.
Yeah. So then I was just like, okay, I'm never competing again. And then last year I was like, you know what? Chris was like, I want to compete. I'm like, you know what? I really want to take it to that next level. Like, let me try a different coach. Let me try a different approach. And the coach that I had was amazing, but he was like hardcore.
Yeah.
And that's what I wanted though. Chris reminded me, he's like, you wanted to go with someone super hardcore. You knew going into that's what you signed up for.
Yeah.
But it was like a whole different level. And I don't want to get too much into the technicality, but like it was a whole different thing.
Yeah.
But it was probably like, I think I learned like, I don't think competing is for me, but I appreciate the sport so much more because of this experience that I had. I appreciate myself so much more because of the experience that I had. I have never, like, I think last year I truly got to know who I was as a person. And even though towards the end it was super hard for me, like I am just so proud of like everything I accomplished last year with COVID and everything. Like I pushed myself to an extreme level I have never pushed myself before. And to do what I did, like 2.5 hours of cardio and like all this stuff that I never really thought was possible, like I did it, and I'm just so proud of myself. And like I have a new respect for competitors. Like I will never ever now like be like competing sucks. No, I think competing is amazing, but I think it takes a different type of breed of person to compete. Sure. You know?
Yeah. Wow. So when you were talking about just that prep experience and what it did for you, I literally got chills because I was thinking about my own preps. And I think that's what helped me fall in love with it so much because, like you said, you really find out who you are when you have to push yourself to extremes that you've never been before. Yes. And then when you overcome the extreme, the strength and the confidence that you gain from that, you realize how much more you're capable of.
Yes.
And one reason why I love competing is because oftentimes we don't have a place in our lives or a platform to practice that. We don't have a platform to practice pushing ourselves beyond anything we've ever been pushed before. And it's like once you practice it in one area of your life, then you realize in other areas of your life when you feel really uncomfortable, when you think you can't do it, you probably can. Yeah.
And that's what I love about you, because I just saw your post. I think it was like 2 days ago. I commented on it where it's like competing teaches you discipline where you can carry it in every place of your life. And that is so important because it's like how you said, like, you don't have to wake up and do cardio. Like, you're not competing, you know? But if you say you're going to wake up and do cardio, you need to, because the more you say you are and then you don't, it's almost like, I feel like I've done that where I'm like, I'm going to get up and I don't. And then I feel really bad about myself because I'm like, no, I gave myself my word that I was going to get up, and I need to be disciplined and committed to, it may be like a small goal, but I need to stay committed and disciplined to my word. You know what I mean?
Oh my gosh, it's huge. And a lot of people lack confidence because they can't trust themselves. So like what you were just saying, like when you give yourself your word, like that, your word has to mean everything to you.
Yes.
You know, like your yes needs to be yes and your no needs to be no with no other explanation. You don't need to like swear on this person or on that person.
Right.
It's just a simple yes.
Yeah.
And that way, when you say it to yourself, you know full well you're going to follow through. And then what's even more powerful is when you have friendships or relationships and you give them your yes and they know that you're showing up.
Yes.
Like, I have to tell you, you showing up, 10, 15 minutes early almost, like people's timeliness shows me a lot,
yes.
you know? And like, here's the thing, like, I get it. Like sometimes you really are, like you hit some traffic you didn't plan for or whatever. But I do recognize when people are very timely.
I'm
it
the same
shows
way.
A lot.
Yeah, I'm the same way. And another thing I wanted to mention about competing, I know from your experience too, I think as women, sometimes we cater to other people, like, you know, with whatever it may be in life. It's like, I know with like being in a relationship, sometimes I cater to Chris more and it's like about us and about us. Competing is just about you. There's no one else. No one's going to feed you. No one's going to do your cardio. No one's going to train with you. It's literally just about you, and you have to prioritize yourself. And I think that was like my hardest thing, is like prioritizing myself, because I'm so quick to be like, oh, Chris, like, what time do you want to go to the gym? Or like, what, based on his goals, like, okay, you need to prep this for, I'll help you prep it for you. But it was all about me and me alone. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And so you guys actually prepped together.
Yeah,
right?
we did. Yeah.
Okay, so how does that work in a relationship when you're both having to prioritize yourselves individually? Technically, you have the same goal as a show, but like, how did you guys work through prioritizing yourself, but also doing it as a team?
So we're really good at communicating, which is amazing. But I think like we both knew going into this, like Chris had his coach, his plan. I had my coach, my plan. So sometimes, you know, our cardios weren't going to line up, and that was fine. We understood that if I needed to prioritize my cardio depending on our schedule, he respected that. If he needed to prioritize his workout, I respected that. So we both respected that. But when it came back to the house, we both helped each other. Like simple things like, babe, do you need me to fill up your gallon? Babe, do you need me to cook your broccoli?
Wow.
Babe, do you need me to do this? Like, hey, do you need me like to massage your back with the massage gun? Like
relationship goals.
Like things like that. You know what I mean? So it's like he couldn't help me with my workout and my cardio, and I couldn't put that on him. I couldn't help him. But when it came to like being home together, we did our best to help each other. And I think that's what helps the most, because I think sometimes you can be really selfish, and competing is a selfish sport. Yeah. You could be like, no, I need to cook my own chicken and my own whatever. But when you think about, okay, like I'm feeling like this, he's also feeling like this, how can I help him? And I love helping people, so it almost made me feel better to be like, when he would be like, oh my God, thank you, babe, because I know he really appreciated it, you know?
Yeah. What has helped you guys get good at communicating? Because you said you're really good at communicating. And even like, for example, you guys being in prep, what is something that you would have to come and like communicate with him? And how did you guys work through that?
With prep, it was more like, I know you're really tired, but we need to still like make time for each other. Like, with prep, it's like, everything's about gym and food and everything. And then like you put like your love life in the back, and then like, between you and I, like your sex drive is like down in the drain. Like you don't want to, but I'm like, I would still like communicate like, hey, I love you. I want to spend time with you. Let's just sit here for like 30 minutes, like pick a movie, pick a show, and like just make little time for us. But as far as like communicating, I think it's just been over the years. Like we've been together for 11 years. But Chris is he's a Scorpio, so he hides his feelings a lot. Oh, okay. And most guys do, but I've made it a point to make it across to him to say, hey, whatever you're feeling, like you need to tell me, because I don't know. And same with me. Like I know I may get mad, and he's like, why are you mad? And I'm like, well, you didn't do this. He's like, well, you didn't tell me to do it. So we've just gotten better at communicating. And I just tell him honestly, like straight up, like I'm not scared to like.
I know your personality.
No,
too.
yeah. So I think a lot of couples are scared to hurt the other person's feelings. And it's not about you coming at them to hurt their feelings. It's like, hey, this is how I'm feeling. And it may just be me, but you're not giving me attention because of X, Y, Z. And then he'll be like, oh, wait, you're right. I'm sorry. I've just been tired, or this is going on. And then we can kind of fix the problem. But it just takes one, not being scared to hurt the other person's feelings, because I think a lot of like relationships that I've seen, they're just like, well, I don't want to tell him because I just don't want to hurt his feelings. You know what I mean?
Yeah, or they're scared of abandonment.
Right,
right. They're scared that if they voice their needs or their opinion, that person's just going to up and leave.
Yeah.
In which case, like my dad always has a saying, like, you can't have a relationship until you're willing to lose it. Yeah. So when you're willing to lose it, you're willing to be your fullest self, to really say what you need, to really say what's going inside of your head or of your feelings, and then to give them the opportunity to show up for it. And like, if they show up for it, then awesome, work on it. And if they choose not to show up for it, that also tells you what you need to know. That, and like how your dad said, like I think there's a way to communicate things. I think people are like, they think communicating is like just yelling or saying something. Yeah. No, like I also know when, like, if I'm going through a situation, I'm not going to tell Chris, like, I'm going through this while he's gaming. There's a time and place for everything. So like
maybe think about what you're going to say to your partner and communicate your feelings, but voice it in a way where he doesn't feel, or he or she, they don't feel attacked. You know what I mean?
Yeah. There's so many little cues you can learn too.
Yes.
Like, for example, some people would feel better if you sit next to them and like hold their hand and say, this is what I wanted to share with you. Like a little bit of physical touch.
Right.
Other people don't want you to be standing while they're sitting on the couch.
Right.
Like creating that safe, positive environment where like, hey, it's a safe place. We're going to talk about what's happening here and then we're going to work on it together.
Agreed.
Yeah. And I think something I see from you guys is that you guys just really operate well as a team.
Yeah.
Like you have that team mentality, not the me versus you and somebody needs to win, which I think is really just important when it comes to the most intimate relationships that you have.
Yes. And it's been hard though. It's not easy to build that teamwork, especially because we grew up together, and
which is crazy. You don't hear many couples staying together. You guys met in high school. I know you had some time off, but like to go from that to where you guys are at now, that's really unheard of.
Yeah. So you just have to make sure that the other person's like in alignment with your goals as well. Like you both have to want to succeed. Like for us, it's like, okay, what's our priorities as a relationship and what's our priorities as ourselves? But I think like when people start drifting apart is when one person wants something and they want to be successful and they want to do this and they want to do that, and the other person doesn't, or they get too comfortable with their life. And thankfully, Chris and I have always had like the same mindset. Like we want to always keep pushing forward. What's next? And I think that's what's helped us the most.
Yeah. Oh, that's great. So you mentioned one time something about every relationship is different, and in each relationship you can kind of like decide what your relationship is going to be. So can you speak to that individuality a little bit? Because I think sometimes people will look at other relationships and think that there's only like one way for a relationship to work.
Right. Yeah. So Chris and I have a really, different relationship than a lot of our friends, just because of our social medias and stuff. But I think, what's funny, I last year I was watching, and it's going to be crazy, but Sex and the City 2. And Carrie has a relationship with the older guy, and her relationship was so different than her friends. And in the movie, she like wants her life to be a certain way like her friends, and that her life's just not like that. She didn't have kids. They both, wanted to go out. They just didn't have the same responsibilities as their friends. And I think like that movie showed me so much. It's like you can't compare your relationship to someone else's, because every relationship has different goals. Like, for example, Chris and I, our goal isn't to have kids anytime soon. Like, and our friends, that's what they're at right now. They want to have kids. They want to start their family, and we respect them and we support them, and we're so happy for them. And we understand that that's where they want to be in life, but we also understand that that's where we don't want to be in life. So it's like, you just have to first of all, never compare your relationship to anyone or what you see on social media, because
yes.
Well,
the people usually that are like the loudest about it, usually it's like,
something's going on.
What are you trying to prove?
Something's going on there. So it's like, don't ever compare your relationship to anyone else's or through social media, but realize that if you and your partner are okay with what you guys are doing, you don't need an okay from anybody else, And that goes with friendships too. Like every friendship is different. I'm sure you have friends that you can just go and sit coffee with, talk about coffee with, and like you have friends who you want to party with, and you have like different friend groups. And I've like this year, that's what I've understood the most is like you have to set boundaries with different friend groups and know what person is meant for what group. Totally. You know what I mean?
And that even goes down to like your partner. I think a lot of people put everything into their partner.
Yes.
I've heard them say before, like your partner doesn't always want to tell you, like, yes, that dress makes you look fat. Like FaceTime your girlfriend. Let her tell you before you go out on the date, and then go out on the date and let your husband compliment you.
Agreed. And Chris will say that to me all the time. He's like, I can't. He's like, I know that you love to share with me, and I know you're a very emotional person, but you're not going to get the same reaction from me that you're going to get from your girlfriend. So certain things, you can't just put that on your partner. Like if I want, like you said, like, how does this dress, like, well, the dress, Chris is good, but like, oh my gosh, this happened today and I just don't know how to act about it. He'll be like, well, I don't know. And like my girlfriend will be like, oh, like, yes, like she shouldn't have acted that way with you. Or you know what I mean? I'm like, oh no, you're overreacting. You know what I mean? So.
All right, we're back. We had a few technical difficulties, but we were just talking about how people put everything onto their partner and how it's important to recognize that not everybody can be everything for you, even your friendships, even the girlfriend that you absolutely love. Sometimes you'll realize that you guys are great and you guys really align on certain things, and then on other things, not so much. And I think it's part of growing up and maturing just to realize that like not every friend is great for everything.
Agreed. Yeah, no, I agreed.
Yeah, which is totally okay. Okay, so I kind of want to get into just kind of some of the daily things that you might do that help you in your life. Do you have a morning routine or a routine that you fall back on to make you your best self?
So right now, spin has been a really big part of my life.
When did you start that?
So I started it after prep because before prep, I wasn't really doing any cardio, right? Like it was like just working out. And I love my body, but I feel like it was not, for me, it wasn't like my fit body, like my best fit body, right? So then I started prep and then I did so much cardio. And after prep, I was like, okay, I don't want to fall back into not doing cardio because I really enjoyed it. I feel like it was time for me to just like help with my anxiety and everything. And then too, I didn't want to go from like doing 2 hours to nothing and then gain all this weight all of a sudden, you know?
Yeah.
So I picked up spin and I absolutely loved it. I think spin is one of those things where you have to find the right instructor, but once you do,
I got into it for a while too, so I know.
Oh, it's amazing. Like, cause I've had really bad experiences with spin because I'm like, oh my God, this playlist or this person is just not, you know, inspiring. But right now, my Saturday instructor, she's just like, Emily, you need to come to class with me because you would love her. Her name's Elizabeth and she's just like, she's so like bad. Like she's 30. I think she's like in her late 30s and she's like super fit, but all she does is spin. And she's just like so motivating. Her energy, like I'm all about energy. And typically when I step in a room, I can feel people's energies. But her energy like fills up this room and like she knows what to say to you that day that just kind of like gives you chills. When I'm done with that Saturday class, Chris is like, please don't come home because you're just like running around everywhere. He's like, it's too early for this on a Saturday. And I'm like, I feel great. Like my endorphins are high. Like it's just amazing. So spin right now, I do spin around about 4 to 5 times a week in the morning. I just love it.
How long's your class?
45 minutes.
Okay, damn.
It's hard, but I feel so much better every day that I do it. And it like more importantly, it just helps with my anxiety. I feel like when I don't do spin, 11 p.m. at night and I just can't sleep. I'm like, okay, like my anxiety is just really high. And when I do it, I feel like I get the like that relief where I'm like, okay, I feel exhausted, you know?
Yeah. Well, because, you know, they say how anxiety or anything like that, it's all an energy, right?
Yes.
So if you can find a way to channel that energy or expend it and kind of get that like moving energy out of you, the anxiety will decrease or you'll just be so tired.
Yes.
that you're not thinking about all the things you're thinking about.
So that, and then I'm a big writer. I like to write my goals down, whatever I have in the week or that day, because I feel like if you have a lot of things in your mind and you don't write them down, like I feel like you just keep procrastinating them. And when I keep procrastinating them, I feel more stressed. I'm like, I just need to get them out of the way. So I need to write them down, check them off, and that makes me feel a lot better. And then 3, like, I know it's going to sound dumb, but like, I'm really big into being like grounded. So like if I feel like really anxious or I just need to like feel better, if I'm like, I wake up in a bad mood, I'll go outside hoping the weather's nice with like socks off and just step on the ground. And they say that that really helps you keep grounded and helps with your anxiety. And that's what I've been doing recently. And I feel like it's helped a lot.
Oh, I need to try that.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Hey everyone, just a quick interruption from today's show to let you know that there are multiple ways you can be involved in the Evolve community. There's Evolve X, my premium mentorship and coaching program. There's Evolve X Worldwide, an entry-level mentorship program. And now there's actually a way to directly support the Evolve with Emily show podcast. All of those links will be down below. I just wanted to mention them. So if you haven't checked them out yet, please check them out for more information. And without further ado, let's get back to today's episode. So anxiety is actually something that I wanted to talk about because you've been vocal about that as well.
Yes.
But I want you to think back to some of your like really bad anxious moments or anxiety spells that you've had. Maybe it was a moment, maybe it was a day or a season of life that you were in. What are things that you did to help you with your anxiety, or what's something that maybe helped you get out of it? You know, I'm just thinking about the listeners that are currently experiencing that.
Well, I feel like, I mean, I still struggle with my anxiety every day. Depending on like what's going on in my life, it might be higher, it might be lower. I get really bad anxiety when like I need my finances to be perfect. I'm one of those people. I'm a Virgo, so I'm a perfectionist. Yeah. So I need my finances to be perfect. And even if they're perfect and I like spend, I always like, I don't know, I give myself a hard time. And like my anxiety, that's when it gets the worst, is like when I'm just like, I just feel like it's over. I feel overwhelmed to the point where then I feel like I need to throw up. And it's really hard sometimes for me to deal with it. Chris helps, but he doesn't understand anxiety. So when I just feel anxious, I either go for a run or I do something that's like really going to push myself physically. Like that's like, for me, it has been the biggest thing that helps with my anxiety. I write things down too, like even like, sometimes like recently I had a personal dilemma. I could not sleep. It was like 3 a.m., 4 a.m. I was crying. I was like having a panic attack because I was having this dilemma and I was like, I don't know what to do. So I just got out my notebook and I wrote everything down. I made a pros list. I made a cons list, and that really helped. I was able to fall asleep afterwards. Wow. But doing that, like writing my stuff down, writing my feelings down, and then literally just like doing something physical, like to like literally just go outside and run like a crazy maniac, literally, and just push yourself, or go outside, do like burpees or whatever it is, like just be physical and let out all that anxiety, all that stress out. It really helps.
Yeah, I always tell people if they do physical activity and they feel like it didn't help with their anxiety or depression, I'm like, you probably didn't push hard enough.
Yeah.
Because when you're in the gym, you shouldn't be thinking about anything other than not dying.
Exactly.
Like push yourself to that point to where you're just like, the only thing that's on your mind is like slowing your breathing so that you don't literally die in the gym.
Yeah. But you know what? I think like working out works for some people, but working out doesn't work for me. Like really? I can't go in the gym if I'm anxious and just hip thrust. I can't, right. I can't like just turn it off. So what I need is I need to put my phone away. I need someone else telling me what to do, or I need to just be running like to clear my head. Yeah. Like I can't in the gym, like if I'm thinking about like my exercises, like during that rest period, I go back to the thoughts. Like I'm like, okay, I'm stressed, this, that, or I'll check my phone, and then my anxiety just gets worse and worse. And I know for some people working out is like their outlet, but for me it's like I need spin, or I need to run, or I need somebody, or I'll take a constant. Yeah, or like a boxing class or something to like help me get out of like my thoughts in my head, you know?
Yeah, like you need no space, no downtime. Yes. Yeah, okay. That makes sense. What's a playlist that you listen to when you do train?
Oh, girl.
What kind of music?
Okay, so it's so funny because when I run, I listen to like sad music like Adele.
Shut up.
Are you serious? Yes, and I just cry and I let my anxiety out, and it's the best thing ever. So if you see me running down the street crying, I am okay. I am just letting my feelings out, whatever I am feeling.
If I saw a pretty girl like you crying while she was running, I'd be like, are you okay?
Yeah, no, I am fine. It's just like I love listening to like, I don't know, like sad music when I'm feeling like anxious or whatever. Yeah. That helps. But I go through like different phases. Like I listen to Adele, I listen to reggaeton, I listen to Lil Wayne is like my thing.
Yes.
That song, like I'm going in. He has like so many good songs. Lil Wayne, when I want to push myself really hard in the gym, he's the one I go to.
It's so funny. He's the one I go to too. And it's funny because in college, I wrote a college essay about why he's a lyrical genius. And then I randomly tagged him in a story, and then he DM'd me and responded.
Oh my gosh. No, he didn't.
Yes. You should do a workout video and tag him, because I bet he would probably.
Oh my gosh. I had the biggest crush on him in high school. So, oh my God.
So of course I responded with his own lyric, which is so just... cringy, but anyways, I did it anyways. He said, he was like, oh, good morning. And I was like, hello, my favorite rapper alive.
Oh my gosh. Did you continue to have a conversation with him?
No, not really. It was like 3 back and forth, and that was it.
Oh my gosh.
So we're best friends, I'm sure he'll be at the wedding one day.
Oh my gosh. That would be, oh my gosh. I have to be there. I have to be there. No, but Lil Wayne always gets me going. Like if I'm feeling down, like he's the one that like I go to as well.
Yeah, it's so funny because, I don't know, the gangster rap, just like, it hits a part of me,
Yeah.
you know?
Is that what you listen to?
I love it. Yeah.
Okay.
It depends.
Yeah.
So I love EDM. I'm huge into that, but I also love metal, which is funny because EDM is what got me into metal music.
Okay.
Because I started with like the fun EDM that's like a little lighter and bouncier.
Yeah.
And then I got a little bit deeper, and then I was listening to like the heavy hard hitters.
Yeah.
And then that led me to like, oh, I actually like metal.
Okay.
So I like metal music. music too, but yeah, I usually go between either rap or EDM, just depending on the vibe. Like if I'm mad, I want to listen to rap.
Yeah.
So if I'm like mad or I'm just like in a weird spot, it's rap. If I'm like happy to be there, grateful for the day, I'm like, let's headbang with some EDM.
Okay.
So it really just depends on the mood. And then when I want to get real psycho, I'll listen to classical music when I'm going for like a PR.
Really?
Yeah, I know it's a little twisted, but like I'll turn on really light classical music that's just like so calming, because I have so much like you know how people listen to music for the hype?
Yes.
I have the hype like inside of me, like so much that I almost need the classical music to like make me focus and have that like really calm rage.
Yeah, I can see that. Yeah. That's so crazy. It's crazy when you like, you know, you listen to what other people listen to. Like I have a friend who like when she's hitting her PRs and squats, she listens to Hannah Montana.
Shut up.
Literally. What? She listened to it the other day. I'm like, what are you listening to? And she's like, Hannah Montana. I'm like, while you're squatting all this way? She's like, yeah, it helps me with my PRs. I'm like, why? How? So I don't know. It's crazy. Yeah.
You're also really big into like dancing too, right?
Yeah. I mean, coming from a Latina background, like I love, you know, my Mexican music. I love my reggaeton. I love my bachata. I love dancing. It's a great outlet. I'm not the best dancer, like when it comes to like, you know, having a dance background. Right. But I love to have fun. Honestly, like my mom growing up, she didn't really let me be a cheerleader or a dancer, but if I could have, I would have loved to be a dancer. Yeah. Because I just love music like that. I love contemporary music too, like those women who can dance to contemporary music and like you have that emotion behind it. Like I just think it's so beautiful. But yeah, no, I love dancing. When I'm feeling down, girl, I'll just be crunking in my bathroom because just be like, what are you doing? I'm like, just leave me alone. No one's watching. No one's judging. It's just me, you know?
No one's judging, right?
No, yeah. And honestly, I blame like I have really deep obliques, and I think it's because growing up in high school, I would just like pump up in the mirror before getting in the shower and like crunch. And my obliques, I swear to you, are so hard, and I blame it on that.
That's amazing. When I want to say it was like, it had to have been middle school of some sort, maybe like 6th grade. Every single day before class, I would do sit-ups to a song that was like 3 or 4 minutes long.
Oh, really?
And I don't even know why I would do it. I would just wake up and immediately do sit-ups like before class every single day. So people always ask how I have good abs. Like when I'm really lean, and even when I'm not lean, they kind of like still show.
No, you have amazing abs. Yes.
Right. Like they're still there. And I think it's just because they're my most mature muscle. And I'm like, why did someone not tell me to hip thrust? Like, I just wish somebody would have.
Girl, same. When I first started lifting, I did bicep curls. And, like, my biceps are so defined. I'm like, why?
And I did shoulders.
I did traps, too. Like, Chris would be like, do the I don't knows, like these. And I'm like, shoulder shrugs. And I'm like, why did I do that?
Yeah.
You know, but.
It's okay. So, okay, what do you like to do for fun outside of the gym, outside of work, and, you know, everything that you do? What are some fun things, little outlets for you?
I love, like, shopping, like, and not even, like, buying. I just like going to the mall. I like going, I'm a big home decor person. I think that if I wasn't doing, like, fitness or, you know, if Instagram were to die tomorrow and I didn't have anything, I feel like I'd be an interior designer. Like, really? I love it. I love that. And I also love, like, party planning. Like I just threw my friend a gender reveal at my house, and I love hosting. I love planning. I love like I'm the type of person, I love being with my friends. Like I love going to dinners. I'm not a big like, I like to party here and then, but I love just going to like different restaurants, eating cheese and bread and wine. Like that's what I love to do. If I, during the week I'm pretty busy. If I'm going to relax at night, I'll either put on a good show or I'll do a Sudoku puzzle. Like, that's me.
Grandma.
Yes, I'm a grandma.
I love it.
I'll do a Sudoku puzzle. It really helps with, like, my anxiety, too. Or, like, I'll watch a show. Mm-hmm. But, like, on my weekends, I love, like, hanging out with my girlfriends. Either, like, going shopping together just to, like, catch up. Or, like I said, going to dinner, trying new foods, trying new restaurants, and, like, drinking wine. Like, that's my new outlet. Like, 2 years ago, you would have been like, oh, do you like to drink wine? I've been like, no, like, I don't understand why people drink wine. And now I'm like, okay, I get it. Yeah. Like, it's nice. It's relaxing. I'm a big sweet wine person, though. So that's the kind of wine that I like. But, yeah, that's what I like to do. And then, obviously, like, hang out with my hubby. We like to hang out together. We're pretty lazy. We're not a big, like, adventurous people. Like, we don't go hiking and stuff like that. We just like to just chill and spend time together. But, yeah, that's what I typically do.
Tell us about your babies.
Oh, Hermes and Fendi. Oh, Hermes and Fendi. I love it. So I've had Hermes for 4 years now.
French bulldogs.
Yes, they're two Frenchies. Hermes is a little male. He's a brindle. And then Fendi's white with like black spots. And we got Fendi about 2 years ago because Hermes was just like so lonely.
I know, that's Fendi right now.
Yeah, like I just felt like he was so lonely. And they're really needy dogs. You know what I mean? Like they're very stubborn, but they're very needy and sweet. And they're kind of lazy. So I kind of feel like, you know, at first I'm like, oh my gosh, she just needs a friend. But now I'm like, they're both just lazy. They just sleep all day. But we got Fendi, and I wanted a little female. I wanted another, like, because Hermes is kind of like more stout than Vinny. Like he's a little thicker. And so I wanted another one that was a little smaller. And originally we wanted to breed them. Like that's the reason we got a female too, because we're like, okay, we're going to breed them. And Hermes is also not a big cuddler. He only cuddles when he wants to cuddle.
Really?
Oh, yeah. He's so, like, he'll come up to you, pet me, because that's all he wants is pets. And then he's done. He's like, gets off.
What a brat.
He's a brat. Like, he doesn't, and he only wants it at his time. Like, he's like that.
Wow.
But Fendi, I got so lucky with her because she's, like, half his size, and she's not going to grow anymore, which I love. And she's just like the sweetest little angel.
Aww.
Like, she loves being held like a baby. She loves being, like, in my lap. Like, she just wants to cuddle with me all day, every day. And she just follows me around the house all day.
Aww.
And I just love her. I mean, they're the cutest little pair ever.
Yes.
And I love them to death. They're my children. That's why I feel like right now I'm like happy without kids.
100%.
You know?
I look at Vinny all the time and I tell him, like, Vinny, like, really serious, you're my best friend.
Yeah.
Like, really?
Yes.
My best friend. I love hanging out with you more than anyone. He's great. I actually love just to kind of, you know, if I'm dealing with anxiety or just too much on my plate or feeling a little overwhelmed, I'll just like put my phone down and I go outside with him and I genuinely like fully interact with him.
Yeah.
Because like our dogs can tell when we're not fully engaged with them.
Yes, they
You know what
can.
I mean? Like
Yes.
they know when you're on your phone scrolling, like they're just sitting there, but you know, and then when you're actually connecting with them, like eye contact.
Yes.
And it's so fun because they smile and then
They
they interact with you.
No, I try to do that too with Hermes too, like, because I can easily be petting him and I'll be on my phone and he knows the difference between that or when I'm giving him full attention.
Yeah, totally.
But yeah, just being more present with them too. Like I do the same thing like every day because I feel like sometimes my life is so paced. I'm like, okay, I gotta do this. I gotta do this. I gotta do this. And then I feel bad because I'm like, they're just home all day. And like, I'm like, I need to spend more, more like one-on-one time with them. So I've been trying to do that more, but my dogs are so lazy, girl. They don't want to go outside and play. They don't.
Because it's too hot.
Yeah, I think that's what it is.
They get overheated way
Yeah.
too quickly.
Yeah. So I just, as long as they're getting cuddles, they're happy.
Yeah. Just so you know, when the time is right, and if you guys do decide that you want kids, you're going to be such an incredible mother. I hope you fully realize that you will be the most incredible mother.
Oh, thank you.
They will have the best birthday parties. They will be so loved, so taken care of. So you really will be such a great mom.
Thank you. I don't know. I actually asked that question to Chris the other day. I was like, do you think I'm going to,
Oh my gosh.
Well, just because like, I don't know if everyone goes through this where like if I see a baby cry, like my anxiety goes up. So then I'm like, okay, I'm not ready to be a mom. Like,
Right.
But I don't know if that's normal. And so that's why I told Chris, I'm like, do you think I would be a good mom? Because I just don't know if I have the patience. He's like, no, you would be an incredible mom. And I'm like, okay. So that makes me feel so good that you said that.
Oh my gosh. I think you'd be one of the best moms.
Oh, thank you.
Truthfully.
Thank you.
And I think, from what I've heard from other people, I don't have kids.
Yeah.
But from what I've heard, when it's your kid, it's completely different.
Yeah.
So, but okay, I have a question for you, maybe like a kind of off the bat question, but a lot of people in our industry, especially competitors, business owners, a lot of women, I should say, are really in their masculine, right? Because it's that like go, 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 that competitive drive, that entrepreneur, it's that masculine energy. But you have such an amazing balance of masculine and feminine.
Oh, thank you.
So have you always been that way, or have you had to work to cultivate one or the other?
No, I think I've always been that way. I've always, I guess, just like being the oldest in my family and then growing up in the restaurant, I had to take a lot of responsibility like at a really young age. So I feel like that's where my drive and like, okay, like I wanted more out of life. I love to work. Like I could never be like a housewife. Like I just couldn't. I love to work. I love to have my own stuff and like, I don't know. I just love that. And so I feel like I've had a good balance. But I do think like as far as like the training goes and like being more competitive and like I've had to work on that because I'm not a really big competitive person.
Oh, see, I wouldn't guess that from you, though.
No, I'm not competitive at all, girlfriend.
So I think what I'm understanding, you can tell me if I'm wrong, is that you're not competitive, but you seek to be excellent.
Yes.
And so that's why maybe it looks like you're competitive.
Yes.
Because like with your show prep and everything, I was watching you compete and following your journey, and it was incredible and so inspiring. And I was just like blown away. I was like, damn, this girl wants it.
Thank you.
Yeah.
So I'm not competitive. I'm not like, and it's funny because Chris is super competitive, and he's like, honestly, I think that's why like you didn't enjoy competing as much as I do, is because I'm so competitive. And like, you know, I'm sure you follow Kerrigan too. She's super competitive. Yeah, I know you're competitive.
And I are very similar.
Yes. And I'm just not, but I want to be the best. Like,
that's awesome.
And I don't say like I want to be number one. I'm never like, oh, I want to be number one. I got to be the best. But I want to do my best, and I want to be at the top, you know?
Yeah.
And so I think that's where like the balance comes from. Yeah.
That's really cool. And I think, you know, everyone is on a certain scale. They're on a scale, right?
Yeah.
And they're at a certain level. And some of us have to work harder to incorporate that. I know for myself, like I grew up always being both. My dad always used to tell me since the beginning, he's like, you're really cool. He's like, you can go throw the football with the guys and then put on a dress and like go do your girl thing.
Yeah.
But I think for me, I had to start finding outlets to allow my feminine to come out in my later years of the life that I've lived. Because I got so stuck in my masculine, having been like on my own since I was 16 and like having to always take care of everything, that I didn't allow space to go dance or to go do these things that allow that like creative or feminine energy to come out. Yeah. So I think wherever you're at, you can always work on it and find ways to cultivate it. You know, like if you need to incorporate more of the masculine, the competitive drive, the discipline, whatever it is, find things that will help you with that. Yeah. You know, like there's plenty of books.
Yes.
Have you ever read Tim Grover, Relentless?
No.
Okay. That's like an amazing book I always recommend, but there's books for whatever it is that you want to start cultivating. Yeah. And I always recommend people, like, if you figure out, okay, I need to work on my communication because it would improve my relationships. Yes. Or I need to work on, you know, cultivating my feminine energy. Like, go look for resources that actually help you with that.
Yes. 1000%.
Yeah. Or even like anxiety or something.
Yeah. I think like for me, I'm really big on like, you're in control of your life. And if you want whatever it is, like if you want to get better at something, you're not just going to get magically better at it. You have to work at it. So if you do want to get more into your feminine side, go try a dance class, even if it's like a beginner's dance class. Like you just have to get out of your comfort zone and make the steps to get better in whatever you want to get better. Because I think a lot of people are like, oh, I want to do this. And they say they want to do it, but they don't make the steps to do it, you know? Yeah. Oh, absolutely. So I think like for me too, like I'm like, okay, when I'm going through a phase and I'm like, okay, I want to get better at whatever it is. I'm like, okay, I want to get better at it. So what do I need to do in order to get better at it? You know? And I think that's what helps a lot. Yeah.
Okay. Tell us about No Evil.
Okay. So
how did you get started? What was the idea for it? What was the inspiration? And yeah.
Okay. So I started No Evil last year. But 2 years ago, so I moved to Houston like 2.5 years ago. It'll be 3 years in September. And it was all coming from like a small town, Georgia, to Houston. It was a really big difference. And then being I was 23 at the time. I was still like young, still like, you know, I'm pretty mature for my age. I've always have been, but not when it comes to like personal relationships. I think like the last 3 years I've grown a lot. So when I moved here, I was just expecting everyone to be super welcoming. I was just expecting a little bit different than what I got. And I went through a lot. The first year I went through like a really hard time because Chris was working at a dealership full time, and it was just me by myself trying to make new relationships, friendships. He was working and training, so he was like never home. So it was like me by myself, and I was trying to make new friendships here. And it was hard because you don't know, you know, you can only learn so much about a person in like a month, you know, like I truly am a big believer that, and I got this from one of my mentors, it takes 3 months for you to really get to know a person.
Oh, I agree with that fully.
Either a personal relationship, you know, or, you know, physical, whatever, any type of relationship. Yeah. It takes 3 months to get to know a person.
Because here's the thing, people can only keep up a certain facade for a certain amount of time.
Exactly.
And then it switches. Exactly. I've noticed that in my life.
1000%. So when he told me that, I was like, oh, I'm carrying this for the rest of my life. And I tell all my friends, now they carry it through their life. Because so if you meet me now, like, you're going to get the real Jasmine, but I'm not an open book. Like, it's going to take those 3 months because I want to get to know you. I want to see, I'm a big observer. I want to see your actions. Like, it's going to take those 3 months for me to be like, okay, is this person staying in my life or is this person going away? Yeah. But like you said, in 3 months, they're either there or they're going to be gone. Yeah. So I don't open up fully until after those 3 months. Yeah. So, anyways, I was trying to build relationships, and then I went through like a hard, time with like certain friendships, and I just felt like really down, and I felt all these negative vibes, like almost to the point where I felt like I couldn't breathe. Wow. And so like I was telling you, I'm really big into energy and stuff, and I'm like, I just kept feeling down, and I just kept feeling like it was like affecting my confidence. It was affecting myself. It's like every time I went out, I felt like I was like more and more in a shell. And so I like left those relationships, and Chris thankfully started working with me full time, and that helped too because now I had him at home. I wasn't really working. I wasn't trying to find new relationships. You know, thankfully the relationships that I have now from then just came naturally. But then I wanted to create something, I don't know if you've seen the Evil Eye, that like could protect my energy. Because I didn't have anything. I was like, you know, you have the small little like cute beaded bracelets, but I was like, okay, I need something to like protect my energy, that if I go out and I'm in a room with whoever it is and they may not like me, I at least feel protected. Mm-hmm. And so that's when we created, Chris is like, what do you think about No Evil? And I was like, oh my gosh, I love it. Yeah. Let's do it. And that's where I was like, okay, we're going to do No Evil. And it came from my necklace. So I created my necklace with the Evil Eye. And I created something like that because I wanted to feel empowered every time I wore it. In the back of the necklace, it says, give this world good energy. Because as much as you're also protecting your energy, I wanted to remind them to give off good energy, because you never know when someone needs it. You know, like I feel like for me, a lot of girls think like, oh, she's a beautiful woman, she's confident, she doesn't need me to tell her she looks pretty today. But I still do. You know, I'm still a female. Like I still love when my friends are like, oh my God, that skirt fits you amazing or whatever. I love it because it makes me feel good, you know? Absolutely. And I think a lot of the times you see a pretty girl or whatever, you know, and you're like, oh, she doesn't need a compliment, but deep down she does, you know? And so I created the necklace to feel protected, but also to remind people to give off good energy. And then that's where No Evil came into the picture, because it's like, okay, we should call it No Evil. And that's what we have now. And we were trying to get into clothing. We started off t-shirts, but I wanted to do more streetwear. But honestly, it's just been so hard. Like, like customized pieces right now are just so hard if you don't have like a fashion background. Like I don't have help. Like it's just me. And to be honest, I don't know like all the terms, like the hem and this. Totally. And it's like, it's so much. Yeah. And so right now we're trying to focus fully on jewelry. And then when the time is right, focus on clothing. And I think sometimes like, you know, we started off with t-shirts and I got in my head a little bit. I'm like, okay, am I failing? Am I failing at the clothing? Like, oh my gosh, I'm a failure. People are going to look at me on social media and be like, she's failing. But it's not. It's taking the step back and saying, okay, clothing, maybe not, it's not the right time right now. We'll get into it when I'm more prepared, you know? So right now I'm focusing on jewelry, and we have a few things coming up in the next few months, and I'm really excited for that.
Oh, that's so amazing. Yeah. And it's such a good mindset to have, because I think fear of failure is something that we all experience, but you have to be willing to face those feelings and to move forward anyways. Yeah. What if you allowed that fear to stop you from moving forward with it? Right. You know? So I think it's really important. And I think what you're saying is really impactful too. It's just a reminder that we have to show up in the world and be that energy and be the good, positive person in the light that we want. We can't go around and just say, well, everyone sucks. Everyone is negative. Everyone is this and that. It's no, like protect your heart, guard your heart, you know, but be that person that's going to be that good light and energy, because you never know how your actions are going to impact them.
1000%. 1000%.
Yeah, that's incredible. And I'm excited to see what you guys come up with next.
Thank you.
Would you guys ever hire a like designer, like a fashion designer to be on board with you guys?
I want to. I mean, I would love to have someone full time, like, because I love clothing. Because I'm not knowledgeable in the background of like tech plats and all that. Like I don't enjoy it. So I want somebody who enjoys it and then can make my vision come to life, you know? So I do 1000%. I want to hire someone, because we started off with t-shirts, but I want to do more than t-shirts, you know? So I want to hire someone fully when I can. And when I find someone, it's just been, so if you're a designer and you're listening to this, hit me up, because I would love to have you on the team. But yeah, it takes, people don't realize, like you see a page on Instagram and like I'm I'm guilty of doing this. And I'm like, oh my gosh, their brand is so amazing. Like, oh, like, look at their page. And you don't realize they have a whole team behind them. It's not just one person running everything. Like, there's a whole team running it. And so we're not at that level yet, but I know eventually we'll get there. Yeah. But we just need to keep growing.
Yes, and keep putting one foot in front of the other.
Yes,
You'll get there.
Yes.
That's exciting. Well, is there anything else that you want to leave with the listeners before we go? Maybe a advice of the day or something that you want to share with them before we leave that maybe we didn't touch on?
I think the biggest thing is like get out of your comfort zone. And I know people say that all the time, but really putting yourself out of your comfort zone when it comes to training or trying new things, whatever it is. Like, for example, recently something that stuck with me, we went to Tulum, and I am not big into like heights or anything like that, but I did the zip lining, and I got up and I started crying, but I was like, I'm going to do this. And it was one of the most memorable days of my life. Like, wow. I had an amazing time doing that. And then we swam in the cenote, which is like a big, like, water hole. And I don't know how to swim, but they threw on your lifeguard and like your life jacket, and they're like, okay, you're going to be fine. Just, breathe, stay calm. And that was like a whole day in one. I'm like, oh my gosh, I just conquered 2 of my fears in one day. Wow. And it was just like one of the best experiences that I had. And it came from getting out of my comfort zone. So whatever it is, like training, trying new things, like get out of your comfort zone, because you never know how that can change your life.
And get around other people that have this kind of energy.
Oh, thank you.
You are on fire.
Oh, thank you.
I know, everyone, but seriously, like, you just like go after it full force. Like,
I try.
That's insane.
Thank you.
Your energy is amazing.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for being here.
No, thank you so much for having me. This is
your first podcast.
Yes, this was so great. I loved it. So anytime you want me on here, just for whatever, let me know.
So I sometimes do girl talk episodes. We'll have like a whole group of girls, and we can all just chat back and forth about all the girl things.
We should definitely do that.
Cool. I'm excited. Well, thank you guys so much for listening to another episode of the Evolve with Emily show. If you guys enjoy the show, please do us a favor and rate and review the podcast. You can also share it on Instagram stories, tag both of us. All of Jasmine's links will be down below. Make sure to check her out, support her, give her a follow, check out the No Evil label. And without further ado, I'll see you guys in the next episode. Thanks, guys.